podcast is part of the Spoon Podcast Network, home of smart conversations that feed your mind.
Hi, I'm Amy Wu, and welcome again to Women Innovators in Food and Farming, where I spotlight some of the entrepreneurs behind the innovation shaping the future of food and agriculture. I am the founder of From Farms to Incubators, a multimedia platform that tells the stories of women in this field. We're so excited to have all of you join us again and tune into our show. I am very excited to have with me today our guest, Julia Streuli, the co-founder and CEO of Full Foods, a food tech company that uses ingredients from spirulina, and she's going to share more about this when we talk. But first, I'm going to do a short intro on Julia, and then we're going to jump right in. So before launching Full Foods, Julia earned her bachelor's degree from Brown University and an MBA from INSEAD, and built a successful career scaling a for-profit, for-good tech startup in Silicon Valley. Can't wait to hear more about that. She secured multi-million euro partnerships and has expertise in behavioral science. And at Full Food, she leads sales to ingredient companies. She fundraises, market expansion, also builds teams. And she's steering the company's vision to transform food systems sustainably. So first of all, welcome, Julia.
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I'm excited for our discussion today.
Great. Where are you joining us from today?
So I'm in Santa Monica in LA, but I'm actually leaving tomorrow for Europe to go to the Netherlands, Amsterdam specifically, where our headquarters is.
Okay, great. Where are you from originally? And does food or agriculture run in the family?
So I am American Swiss from Boston originally. Well, food and ag does not run in my family, science does. So my father is a microbiologist and spent his career working on immunotherapies for diseases like cancer. So I remember going to the lab with him when I was little, and he would work on experiments over the weekend on Saturdays. He has one of the most inspiring work ethics out of anyone I know, and I would study. But I remember even at that point thinking about how cool it was that you could take, the elements of science and business and produce something that benefits humanity.
Very, very cool. So I want to learn a little bit more about the journey to Full Foods, but this isn't your first startup, correct? Let's start with, I understand that you were part of the exciting founding team at Bright Funds. Tell us a little bit more about that experience and venture first.
Yeah, so I started my career at Bright Funds. I was on the founding team, and I loved this experience of taking something from an idea to a full-fledged company and building something from the ground up. So I worked on everything from closing our first paying customer to large multinational deals, wore many hats. So did everything from working a bit on product, running our marketing team, helping with fundraising. And the company specifically had a similar approach to Full Foods in that we aligned our impact model with our business model. And that to me, was such a powerful way to align my personal values with how I want to spend my career. And so I kind of knew after that experience that anything I did moving forward would have to have those two in lockstep.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to say that when you were at Brown, what did you study? Or what did you want to be when you grew up when you were at Brown?
Yeah, I studied international development and political economy and gender studies. So it was a dual major. And I actually thought I was going to get a PhD and work at the World Bank or at the UN, working on international development, specifically around family planning and women.
That's great. So you talked a bit about the mission aligned aspect, right, at Bright Funds as well. What would you say is the mission? How did you start becoming more and more interested in the area of certainly sustainability and, being climate friendly? When did that start developing?
So Bright Funds was a charitable giving technology platform. And it was all about helping people figure out where their donation or their volunteer hours would help them do the most good. And so from that lens, interestingly, food kept coming up again and again. What we put in our body, how that impacts our own health, community health, and climate health. And so that's actually how I first kind of gained awareness of the impact potential of, creating a more sustainable food system.
Very interesting. Can you give an example of that as well during your time at Bright Funds?
Yeah, so we actually created a sustainable food fund, which, was a mix of nonprofits that we would suggest to people that wanted to support a more sustainable food transition. So these nonprofits worked on everything from, supporting, let's say, plant-based sources of nutrition to, regenerative agriculture.
Mm-hmm. And from there, how did you get into Full Foods? I understand that you started this with a couple of your MBA classmates. Is that right, or members of the cohort?
Yes. So I knew going into business school, I wanted to make the transition to food. It was incredibly exciting. I mean, this was
So it was certain you went in knowing that this is the area.
Yeah. And, this was around the time when Beyond Meat was going public and Oatly was selling out of every coffee shop. And, terms like precision fermentation and cellular agriculture were starting to become more center and particularly the investment landscape. And I knew I wanted to take part somehow. And I was fortunate enough to connect with Sarah and Christina pretty early on in our MBAs. Christina comes from the energy sector. So she's a chemical and industrial engineer, and she had actually worked with microalgae, scaling it up as a biofuel. So instead of extracting nutrients for food applications like we're doing now, they were extracting lipids for the energy sector. Sarah has a very different background in her family business. So she's trained in law and finance, but I think pretty early on, kind of was raised to live and breathe entrepreneurship as part of her experience in this family business. And so I think the three of us had these kind of unique perspectives and experiences and skill sets joined together quite early on around a research project on the future of food. And particularly, what are those sustainable innovations going to be that help address the climate crisis and better meet our growing demand for nutrition?
Interesting. So was this a class project, and it sort of out of serendipity came about?
It was a summer project. So instead of taking a traditional internship, the school funded this research project, which ended up spanning 6 months. So it went then on into the school year. But we interviewed over 100 VCs, policymakers, corporate executives, founders, all within the space of sustainable innovation around food. And I have to say, by the end of that project, we were sure about two things. The first was there was this unbelievable opportunity in this space to use the tools of innovation to create, meaningful businesses, but businesses that produced healthier and, more resource efficient products. And the second was that we just love working together. I mean, I think it's so rare to find colleagues and business partners with whom you're so complementary, but also so aligned at the same time. And it just felt like this rare chemistry that, we wanted to lean into. And, we didn't want to stop working together, which is why we ended up taking that research and submitting a business idea based on kind of the learnings from that research to the school's venture competition.
So I'm interested in learning, at what point did you think about a drink, a beverage, and the focus on specifically spirulina? When did that come about? I mean, it sounds like you guys did intense research, had an Everest of data information. So when did the idea for beverages come about? Yeah.
So we anchored first on spirulina, and spirulina being a type of microalgae, which was really sort of the first draw, I would say, to the food tech space. Microalgae is highly nutrient dense. So we'd actually first come across it when we interviewed an NGO that had been using it to address malnutrition. So it's this really rich mix of proteins, fats, oils, phytonutrients, micronutrients, so vitamins, minerals. And we were quite interested also in the fact that you can produce it in a highly scalable and resource efficient manner. You can actually use CO2 as the main feedstock to produce spirulina and other types of microalgae. And in fact, it's so good at capturing CO2, it can capture 2 times its weight, which means that you can actually have a nutritional biomass that has a net negative carbon balance, which is
so this was also the first time that you discovered this, correct? I mean, was there a lot of, oh, wow, like a lot
of, oh, wow. I mean, throughout kind of the end of my time at Brightfunds and in Silicon Valley, I had been researching all of these sustainable food innovations and came across seaweed and algae, which also has a similar, nutritional density and carbon capture potential. But microalgae and specifically spirulina, I think seemed like an obvious fit for the cultivation scale-up potential. There had also been a lot of scientific research, both on production scale-up potential as well as on the health benefits. So there's 30 plus years of literature on spirulina and how, it's antioxidant potential, it's anti-inflammatory, even antiviral and, anti-cancer properties. So it felt like there were so many forces that were supporting the kind of investment in further commercializing this ingredient beyond a supplement or, kind of in pill or powder form, right? As most people know it in the supplement aisle of the grocery store. I think most people have maybe heard of spirulina and have a health connotation with spirulina, but they don't really know the potential or the specific functional benefits of spirulina.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you to share a little bit more about the science. You've touched upon that already. And then what should consumers know? I mean, clearly there seems to be so many benefits and pros to it. So as you guys were developing this, at what point did you say, we're going to be targeting X, Y, and Z, as we call the audience? Who were you seeking or thinking about or envisioning when you created this, the beverage, for example?
Well, so the vision was always, how do we scale up the nutrition within spirulina to have the most impact on, the food system as possible. And so from that perspective, it was always clear that we would, in the long run, adopt a B2B approach. So sell our ingredients or nutrition solutions to other companies that they could use in their products.
Okay.
The challenge, though, with that approach, especially if you're a startup, is getting to that scale and getting to a price point that's competitive.
Right.
Even engaging in these long sales cycles, which are the nature of selling into food and beverage companies as part of their formulations, just takes a very long time to scale up.
Absolutely.
So we, and maybe this was my Silicon Valley background influencing, wanted a way of quickly testing our own ingredient in a product on the market.
Okay.
And so a drink made a lot of sense for a few reasons. The first is it's a very tricky application, actually, for particularly the extract that we were incorporating into the drink, which is phycocyanine. So phycocyanine is an extract of spirulina. It's a blue protein pigment complex.
Okay.
And it's one of the only sources of blue in nature that has been incorporated into food. And so the problem with phycocyanine is it traditionally degrades at low pH, which are most beverages, except for dairy, and after heat treatment, which are most shelf-stable beverages. So you actually probably never seen a naturally blue shelf stable drink.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah,
that
a
is
lot of us
because
have
there are
not.
many sources of blue, and because nobody's actually figured out how to really stabilize that color under those
Right. It
processes.
sounds like those are definitely challenges to stabilize that color. Yeah.
Yes. And so part of our extraction technology at the time had actually been to better stabilize the color.
Ah,
And
okay.
so it made sense to test it in an application where we could kind of display the tech.
Yeah, I hear that. So you could be an athlete drinking this in the hot sun, right? That's what you're
Yes,
really getting at.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
But the other thing is, the category of functional beverage was exploding at the time as people move away from artificial
Hmm.
sodas to healthier alternatives. You
Right.
had the rise of Olipop and Poppy, and
Yeah.
a drink, not only was the market growing in a compelling way, but a drink is a pretty universally consumed product.
Right.
You also, connect with
So,
consumers at multiple touch points throughout the day. So we felt
correct.
like as a proof of concept and showcase, both from a marketing perspective and a proof of concept on the IP and sort of product breakthrough
Yeah.
of the ingredient, it made a lot of sense.
So, I want to focus a little bit about the color blue. Why blue again? And also, what's been the response so far, the feedback on the color blue?
So I was totally honest. We started, so our approach, maybe I'll just provide a bit more context on what we do with the spirulina that we grow. The
Okay.
spirulina that we grow is a green spirulina. Most people kind of, I think, are a bit confused. What color is spirulina? Is it blue? Is it green? Spirulina, when you grow it in its whole form, is green. And in that green spirulina, you have a blue protein pigment complex that is actually less than 20% of that green
Hmm.
biomass. The other parts of the spirulina are protein. So 60+% of the spirulina is a really rich source of protein.
Hmm.
You have fatty acids, omega-3, 6, 9, beta carotene, and some other nutrients. So we actually drew inspiration from Christina's experience in the energy sector,
Okay.
refining or biorefining this quote unquote crude substance.
Hmm.
So in the oil and gas world, you take crude oil and you extract a number of different fractions that then
Yeah.
become gasoline and plastic and a number of oil derivatives, right? What we're doing with the spirulina is pretty much the same. So our thesis is in its whole form, not that useful, though very nutrient dense, but it's green. It kind of smells as a very sulfurous
Okay.
smell. You can't
So
really
you're trying
separate
to,
it
so
too much.
essentially you're trying to retain the best parts of it, but make it more like attractive to the consumer. Like I'm a
Exactly.
consumer. I want to, it's healthy for me, but ugly green might not work out is what you're saying.
Right. But if we extract the protein and remove the color and taste, there's a
Yeah.
big market for that. If we extract the blue and
Hmm.
are able to commercialize it as a natural colorant or a functional
Right.
ingredient, there are big commercial or big markets for that, right, in the nutraceutical
Yeah.
and natural colorant space. So, our vision actually was to valorize 100% of the
Yeah.
biomass and extract all these different nutrients and commercialize those. We
Okay.
started with the blue, even though it is a small percentage of the spirulina, because there was actually a premium for that ingredient in the nutraceutical space
Hmm.
as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. So
What do you mean
we
by
didn't,
that? A premium? Share a little
so
bit more about that.
just by extracting the blue ingredient from the green
Hmm.
biomass, we could already have a standalone profitable business. So we could
Oh,
sell the
okay.
blue extract at, X number of times higher than we bought the raw material
And the
for.
nutrition is still there. And you're saying, even with that extraction of the
Well,
20%.
with that one extraction, you have the functional benefits of, the antioxidant effects,
Okay.
anti-inflammatory. So it is a very targeted, let's say, benefit.
Okay.
Funny enough, it is a protein itself, the blue
Hmm.
extract. It's a protein pigment complex called
Okay.
phycocyanine. So, we saw that there was already a market for this blue extract mostly in the nutraceutical space, and that the price point we could sell it for made a lot of sense to start there while our scale was low. Right? Because when our scale is low, our raw material costs are high, meaning we buy the spirulina.
Yeah.
But our thinking was, as we scale up, the more price competitive ingredients like the protein will make more sense to commercialize, not only because it's the side stream of the blue extract, where we're already selling it for a profit, but also because the market for protein is much more price competitive. And, you're talking sub $5 a kilogram.
Yeah. So, Julia, I've tried the beverage, and what I'm hearing is that it's a beginning to extend it to other types of food. So what else can we look forward to besides the beverage? What else is in the works?
Well, so we're now, and this was a very long-winded way of saying, with the blue ingredient, which we originally thought would, kind of be positioned as this functional nutraceutical product, there is a much more exciting and relevant market for it right now as a natural colorant.
Okay.
So color, as you see in the beverage, a lot of people, the thing they remember about the beverage is its color.
Okay.
And the FDA at the beginning of the year announced a transition away from artificial dyes, which are pervasive.
Phasing out the artificial dyes, right?
Yes.
Right on a national level. I see that. Yeah.
Which is
so good timing is what you're saying, right?
It triggered one of the largest reformulation events in modern history. I mean, you go to a mainstream grocery store, almost every product in an ambient aisle, so from snacks to ice creams to beverages, you name it, they likely have artificial colors in them.
So are we looking at potentially blue ice cream?
We're looking at, so blue ice cream, but blue is also the foundation of green and purple. So over half the color spectrum, and this kind of taps into some middle school knowledge, but blue plus yellow make green.
Right.
And blue plus red makes purple. Right. So we're now testing our ingredient for not just blue applications, the obvious ones you can think of, from confectionery to sports drinks.
Oh, wow.
Facings to even blue pills for pharma. So like a lot of blue medication is, uses this artificial petroleum-based dye.
So as a consumer, and I'm someone who loves to eat, also love different kind of beverages, where is it available now on the market? Like where is the company currently in terms of the products?
Yes. So our own beverage is available through our website, Amazon. We're selling natural retail and into office spaces.
Okay.
So if you're an employee at, certain big companies, you get it for free or can buy it. But for the blue ingredient, we're now testing with a number of companies that are looking to replace their artificial colors, green, blue, purple. And we're selling into companies that are already using it in their formulations. So quite widespread, let's say, from beverage to confectionery to snack.
Absolutely. That's really exciting. I want to flip back a bit to our conversation, Julia, a little bit more about the aspect of sustainable. Maybe you can share a little bit more with our audience about what is sustainable spirulina? Like what does that mean? Sustainable solutions, spirulina.
So I would say the process of producing any type of spirulina, likely sustainable. You don't need a lot of arable land. It's incredibly high yield. You don't need much water. So if from a resource efficiency perspective, spirulina, however you produce it, is quite compelling. The way we produce our spirulina, specifically with a production partner that has photobioreactor technology, is, I would say, even a step above the standard spirulina production. Standard spirulina production is usually in these big open ponds. They're often deserts.
Have you seen some of that before? That sounds pretty nice.
They're called raceway ponds. Actually, when we were completing our MBAs at INSEAD, we went and visited
Oh,
a
wow.
number. And you can really just think of big ponds that have green sludge in them.
Okay.
And, I would say the vast majority of spirulina is grown this way. The challenge with this way of producing it, one, you use, instead of carbon dioxide as the main feedstock,
Hmm.
you likely are using bicarbonate, which is a chemically produced substance.
Hmm.
So you don't take advantage of the carbon capture potential
Hmm.
as we do. We actually use a waste product of bioethanol production as
Yeah.
the feedstock. So you
Oh,
have this
wow.
sort of circular production element. So let's say in open raceway ponds, while the spirulina can capture some CO2 from the atmosphere,
Hmm.
usually not enough to, justify the yield
Hmm.
that is targeted. So they
Yeah.
supplement it with additional bicarbonate. The other challenge, which is maybe less sustainability related with these open raceway ponds, is they are subject to contamination. So we have
Okay.
metals, toxins, um, and this has been a major challenge in the industry,
Hmm.
sourcing high quality spirulina from these
Uh,
sources. The benefit of how we do it
so,
in these closed loop photobioreactors is we can control for contamination
yeah, I hear that.
and consistency in the output. So we can
Hmm.
control light and heat temperatures, which influence the nutrient mix. Are we producing more of the protein or the oils?
Hmm. So where do you hope the company will be in about, let's just say 3 years?
So I hope we are fully scaled up with all of our extraction. So commercializing the white protein I was talking about, the fatty acids, and the blue. So we
Hmm.
are, truly using every part of the spirulina biomass and
Hmm.
selling those to other companies to use in their products, or to
Hmm.
ingredient companies to include in their portfolio.
Hmm.
You-
And
Yeah.
a little bit of a crystal ball here. What is your own prediction for the natural food dye arena? I mean, is this going to just completely overtake artificial, you think?
Yes, absolutely. We've seen companies already pledging to remove artificial dyes. I can tell you a lot of them have big internal forces they're testing now with natural solutions. So they all have timelines to switch over from artificial dyes to natural solutions. A lot
Hmm.
of them are targeting mid-end 2026.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the other prediction will be that a lot of natural dyes that are used right now come from vegetable sources,
Hmm.
black carrot or beets.
Yeah.
The challenge, though, with these solutions, that they don't have particularly scalable supply chains.
Okay.
So you think they have growing cycles, they need a certain amount of arable land. So to, you know, increase the demand for purple from purple carrot
Yeah.
overnight or
What you're
even
saying.
within a year
Right. Or
is
the
not
red and the
feasible.
beets, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about, you just have these constraints of
Hmm.
land and growing seasons, et
Right.
cetera. And I think there's going to be a much greater emphasis on color solutions that come from microorganisms like spirulina, which can be quickly scaled, and can be continuously harvested, and
Hmm.
don't need arable land. So even though there might be natural solutions in other colors, I think even those solutions will transition mostly over to these microorganism based colors.
Okay. And again, as someone who loves to eat and shop, so beyond beverages, what other food products might spirulina end up in, and not just the blue aspect, but the others?
Yeah, really across the grocery store aisle. So we can
Yeah.
start with colors, eh, snacks, candies, icings and baked goods, even dairy like yogurt. Then you go to the pharmacy, and there you could have everything from, your pain medication to your toothpaste,
Yeah.
right? All use color right now.
Hmm.
Mouthwash. I mean, I think it's a fun exercise, and I commonly do it going into any pharmacy or convenience store, grocery store, and just looking at all the
Yeah.
products that have these artificial colors.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's on the color. On the protein side, protein is obviously a very trending macronutrient right now in products, both as an addition to existing products, so protein enhanced, but also core to any plant-based dairy or meat.
Right.
Um, Not to mention the fortification and other types of snacks,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
And then the fatty acids, those are actually one big market for that is animal food.
Hmm.
So, anything from there to supplements to
Hmm.
plant-based sources of fish, etc.
That's exciting. Now, a little bit to your team. This is a trio here, right? All of you co-founders. So, what's the role of everybody again on the team?
So Christina is our CTO. She is the chemical and industrial engineer. So she manages both the R&D as well as the production scale up. Sarah is our COO. She has this finance and legal and operations background. So
Hmm.
she's managing, those three parts of the business. And then I am CEO, which, covers everything from commercial to marketing to fundraising.
Hmm.
So quite complementary. And we're lucky enough to have an incredible team working with us across all those fields.
Hmm. That's exciting. Little bit about the company now. Where is it based, and how many staff do you have on the company right now?
So the company is based in Amsterdam. That's
Okay.
where we have our lab HQ. It's where
Oh.
the parent company sits. But most of our commercial activities, in part because of this FDA announcement, are in the US.
Okay.
So our VP of sales and myself are based here. We have an Inc., a
Okay.
US opco, and a number of production partners, and sales and brokers,
Hmm.
advisors, etc. in the U.S.
Okay, exciting. Well, the year is quickly evaporating. We're moving through,
Isn't it?
right, 2025 and so forth. So, what would you say are some of your immediate visions and goals as the year kind of winds down and moves into 2026? What are the priorities for the company?
So we have two big priorities. One is to, fully take advantage of the opportunity we have with our blue ingredient, where we're very well positioned because of some of the IP and product properties to use it as a natural colorant. And there is this window now, and all these companies are looking to reformulate. So, I think the first goal is to make sure that we are in as many of these sales conversations and reformulation opportunities as we possibly can, and moving those forward as companies take the ingredient through trials
Hmm.
to secure a final formulation. And the second is we're fundraising. So we are raising a round right now to support the scale up for next year.
How much are you looking to raise for this particular round?
So we're raising 7 million for this
Okay.
round.
Okay. So a big part of your job, right, is the fundraising aspect of
Yes,
things, correct?
it
So,
is. It is. And it's a really exciting time because a lot of the investors at this stage are incredibly value adding, right? They, either bring a deep expertise of the ingredients industry or the food and beverage industry or on the scale up side. So, we really see this as an opportunity to kind of supercharge the business into
yeah.
next year.
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering how you would communicate this to just ordinary people and consumers. I'm imagining that you have all different markets, right? A wide swath of markets across the United States, certainly. What would be the storyline, I guess, or to share this with ordinary folks who just love to, drink, try different beverages or eat or so forth? Yeah. Who don't know
I
much about spirulina, maybe.
my favorite way of describing spirulina is not as a superfood, but as a miracle food.
Okay.
And I think, superfood, now the term I think is a bit overused, but at their core, right, it was meant to describe this highly nutrient dense and functional source of nutrition. And the compelling part about spirulina is you have that nutritional side, but you also have the climate side,
Yeah.
and this opportunity to, capture 2 times its weight in CO2 and be scaled in a way that doesn't, cause any environmental degradation or emit CO2. Um, and so that's what's exciting about spirulina, is it is this kind of miracle food potential.
Very cool. And no, I know you're super busy now, but when you're not at Full Foods, what are some of your hobbies?
So I love to be in nature. I'm a big hiker, and I love whether it's hiking here in California or in the mountains in Switzerland, which is a happy place for me. I would say, that is my biggest hobby, hiking, but I also love running and yoga, anything that's active.
Very awesome. I really want to thank you, Julia, for your time today and sharing your story a bit more about Full Foods with us. I'm really excited to hear like what's next around the corner. So we're going to sign off until the next episode of Women Innovators in Food and Farming, and please do check us out. Thank you very much.